At the beginning of the film, a former CIA agent named Philip was slaughtering dozens of mafia members. It turned out the reason he did this was because they had killed his wife. Quite easily, Philip was able to level them, including his mafia boss. 7 years later in Italy, Philip was having breakfast in a cafe with his daughter, Vanessa. Apparently, after beating the mafia group in America, Philip had moved to Italy and lived with his daughter who worked for the intelligence agency. While they were having breakfast, Philip suddenly realized that a group of people was watching them. Philip asked Vanessa to get ready because something was not right. Philip came to a suspicious person who was pretending to order coffee and beat him. After that, he saw someone behind Vanessa trying to shoot her, so he took the gun from the previous attacker and shot the man. They tried to escape but were chased by two people using a bike. They were cornered, so inevitably, they had to fight them. Fortunately, they succeeded in killing the chaser. Philip asked Vanessa to wait a moment at a pier while he went home to get weapons. He was still wondering who these people were and who had sent them. Philip arrived at his house shortly after, which was not too far away. He quickly took weapons in anticipation of the enemy attacking again, but then several people came. Philip was able to kill them all and confiscated one of their cell phones. Philip returned to Vanessa, who had been waiting. Vanessa asked who these people were and whether this was all over. Philip answered that he didn't know, but this might have all just begun. Philip took Vanessa to visit his friend who lived in a village. On the way, he gave Vanessa the phone that he had stolen earlier and asked her to check it. But unfortunately, she couldn't open it and could only see Philip's photo, which was used as wallpaper. She assumed that the people who attacked them must have been ordered by Philip's enemies in the past, but Philip couldn't remember who his enemies were because he had slaughtered hundreds of bad people. After that, they decided to stop in a motel and would continue his journey to the village tomorrow. The next day, Philip and Vanessa continued their journey to go to Philip's friend's house in a village. When they arrived, they were welcomed by Philip's friend who turned out to be the village head. Philip then told his friend that he came to hide because he and his daughter were being hunted by a group of people. Hearing this, the village head suddenly apologized and then explained that 2 days ago, a group of people came to this village led by a man named Vlad. They took some of the residents hostage and killed some. He then called the village head and asked him to tell him where Philip was. The village head was afraid that Vlad would kill his people, so he was forced to say where Philip was. It turned out that Vlad was the older brother of the mafia boss who was killed by Philip 7 years ago. Upon hearing that, Philip realized that the one hunting him wanted to avenge the mafia boss's death. Even though the village head had leaked Philip's whereabouts, Philip didn't mind it because he knew the village head was cornered and only tried to defend his people. Philip and Vanessa decided to leave to hunt for Vlad. Meanwhile, Vlad was being visited by his henchmen, who told him that the people they had sent had failed to finish off Philip or Vanessa, and even now they had run away somewhere. Hearing this, Vlad asked his henchmen to plan another way to kill them. Philip and Vanessa went to their old friend in the CIA, Agent Holman, and told him that he was being hunted by Vlad. The reason why Vlad was hunting Philip was none other than to take revenge for his brother's death 7 years ago. Philip went to Holman to ask if Holman knew where Vlad's headquarters was and who he really was. Holman answered that as far as he knew, Vlad was a mafia boss who had lots of subordinates and that his headquarters was in a luxury mansion that was not far from the city. The only way to destroy Vlad was to steal all his money that had been converted into Bitcoin. The total of all Vlad's Bitcoins was around $500 million, and the data was put on a flash drive which was stored in a private bank. If Philip succeeded in stealing the drive, it was certain that Vlad would be destroyed, so it would be easy for Philip to finish him off. In the end, Philip and Vanessa agreed to steal the drive, but they had to first organize their strategy carefully. In short, Holman took Philip and Vanessa to a luxury hotel to discuss the strategy. It turned out that the hotel was not far from the location of the private bank where Vlad kept the flash drive. Holman suggested that they should break into the bank as soon as possible, but Philip was against it, especially since they didn't know which safe Vlad kept the flash drive. Philip would make a plan with Vanessa and they need to rest. In the afternoon, Philip, Vanessa, and Holman were back discussing. Vanessa had a plan where she would pretend to keep a rare diamond in the bank so that the bank manager would let her see the safe room. When she entered the room, she would tap the manager's computer to find out which safe Vlad kept the flash drive. Hearing this, Holman asked what if she got caught by the guards. She replied that if she was found out, she had no other choice but to knock out the guards. She said that she also needed someone to monitor her because Philip himself had planned to attack Vlad's headquarters. Finally, Holman volunteered to help Vanessa from a distance. He would even secure the flash drive if she had managed to get it. After all the plans were completed, they agreed to carry out this mission the next day. In the morning, Vlad was enjoying breakfast when his confidant brought a hitman to hunt Philip. The hitman asked for his salary to come first because he was afraid that Vlad wouldn't pay him. Offended by this, without hesitation, Vlad signaled his confidant to finish off the man. Vlad hated being belittled, let alone insulted, and he would finish off anyone who dared to do that to him. Meanwhile, Vanessa, Philip, and Holman were getting ready for the mission. Vanessa would enter the bank and be assisted by Holman from afar, while Philip would go to Vlad's headquarters to hunt him down. After everything was ready, Vanessa and Philip rushed away, while Holman stayed near the bank to help Vanessa. After Philip and Vanessa left, Holman contacted someone who turned out to be Vlad, revealing that he was Vlad's subordinate. Holman told him that Vanessa had gone to the bank to steal the flash drive, while Philip was on his way to the headquarters to attack him. Vlad realized that his flash drive contained around $500 million was in danger, so he immediately assigned his confidant and several of his henchmen to stop Vanessa, while Vlad and his other henchmen would stay at the headquarters to wait for Philip's arrival. On the other hand, Vanessa had entered the bank and met the bank manager. She immediately took out the rare diamond and pretended that she was going to store it in this bank safe, but for security reasons, she wanted to see the safe room. The manager didn't mind and then invited her to see the safe room. When the manager was off guard, Vanessa quickly attached a bug to the computer to find out which safe Vlad kept his flash drive. After that, she and the manager went to the safe room. When they got there, Vanessa beat the manager and accessed the bug she had installed. She was able to find out that Vlad kept his flash disk in safe number 333. Then she made a small explosion to open the safe and finally managed to take the flash drive, but the explosion was heard by 2 guards there, so they immediately checked. Whether she wanted to or not, Vanessa had to knock out the guards. After knocking out the guards, Vanessa left the building and met someone who had prepared a bike for her. It turned out that this person was her niece who was secretly taking part in the mission. Vlad's confidant and his troops showed up soon after and immediately chased Vanessa and her niece who escaped on a bike. Amid the chase, Vanessa was able to trick the chaser, and he immediately gave the flash drive to Holman for safekeeping, while Vanessa's niece deliberately diverted the attention of the chaser. Philip had just arrived at Vlad's headquarters and was able to finish off all the guards guarding outside. Meanwhile, Vanessa's niece, Lydia, was cornered by Vlad's confidant's henchmen, but she didn't just give up and tried to escape by climbing the wall. Unfortunately, she was eventually caught. Philip had entered Vlad's headquarters, but inside, Vlad and 2 of his men were ready for him. Vlad asked Philip to fight his 2 henchmen first, and if he survived, then he would wait for him in the main room. After successfully eliminating one of Vlad's men, Philip had to face the other one, and fortunately, he was able to finish off that person and finally dueled with Vlad. After fighting for quite a long time, Philip was able to lock Vlad with his knee. When Philip was about to finish off Vlad, Vlad's girlfriend suddenly came and told Philip that they had Lydia with them, and if Philip still wanted to see her alive, he had to let Vlad go. There was no other choice but for Philip to let Vlad go. Vlad then asked Philip to leave his headquarters and promised to let Lydia go. Philip didn't completely trust Vlad, but because he already had another plan, Philip finally chose to leave. After Philip left, Vlad was contacted by Holman, the traitor. Holman said that the flash drive stolen by Vanessa was already in his hands, so they should not worry. Hearing this, Vlad asked him to bring the flash drive to his headquarters. On the other hand, Vanessa was waiting for Philip's arrival at a church. Not long after that, Philip arrived. Vanessa immediately hugged him because she was very worried about him. She asked whether he had succeeded in killing Vlad. Philip answered no because Vlad had taken Lydia hostage. Upon hearing that, Vanessa felt very guilty because she was the one who told Lydia to help. Philip asked Vanessa to remain calm because he already had another plan to save Lydia and finish off Vlad and all his accomplices. Lydia was brought to Vlad's headquarters. Vlad looked very happy because he could use her to kill Philip and Vanessa. At the same time, Holman came and immediately gave the flash drive to Vlad, but when he checked it, it turned out to be fake because the real one was still in Vanessa's hand. It was revealed that Philip had known from the start that Holman was Vlad's henchman, so he deliberately used him to find out Vlad's weakness. Vlad was angry and asked Holman to take responsibility. Shortly after, Holman was contacted by Philip, telling him that if they wanted the flash drive, they had to do a swap for Lydia. He would wait for Vlad to arrive at his friend's village where Vlad had once visited. Didn't want his $500 million to disappear like that, so Vlad agreed to the request. After the call ended, Vlad made a plan to finish off Philip and Vanessa during the swap. In the afternoon, the village head, Philip's friend, was cooking when he heard a knock on the door. When he opened it, it turned out to be Philip and Vanessa. The village head asked whether Philip had finished off Vlad. Philip answered that he had not. What was more was that Lydia had been taken hostage by Vlad, but he already had a plan to save her, namely by doing a swap for the flash drive that was in his hands. He asked the village head to evacuate all of his residents to the church because the exchange location would be in this village tomorrow morning. Fortunately, the village head trusted Philip, so he would obey what he told him. Philip also asked the village head for weapons in case Vlad broke his promise. The village head quickly took Philip and Vanessa to the upper floor and gave them all the weapons he had. In the morning, Vlad and the troops were preparing for the swap. Holman, the traitor, also came with them. On the way, Vlad said that this exchange was just a fake. If the drive was already in his hands, they all had to immediately finish off Philip and Vanessa, including Lydia. Long story short, Vlad and the troops had arrived in the village. The village was very quiet because all the residents had been evacuated by the village head. Vlad immediately held Lydia at gunpoint while calling Philip's name. Not long after, Philip came alone, carrying the flash drive, but without Vlad realizing it, Vanessa was ready to shoot him from a distance. Philip asked Vlad to let go of Lydia first before he gave him the flash drive, but Vlad refused because he wanted to get the flash drive before letting go of Lydia. Not wanting to prolong the argument, Philip threw the flash drive. Vlad's men immediately checked the flash drive and confirmed that it was the real one. After that, Vlad swore that he would never let go of Lydia before Philip and Vanessa died in front of him. Philip, who had guessed that this would all happen, also gave the code to Vanessa and a shootout ensued. After successfully eliminating all of Vlad's henchmen, Philip had to duel with Vlad's confidant, while Vanessa had to fight Holman, the traitor. Philip managed to finish off Vlad's confidant easily and then helped Vanessa, who had been held at gunpoint by Holman. After beating Holman, Philip and Vanessa were approached by Lydia, who had managed to untie herself. Lydia told him that Vlad had run towards the church, but he was heavily injured due to being shot during the gunfight. Philip deliberately didn't chase him because he was sure that Vlad would definitely be killed by the residents. Vlad was still trying to escape with serious injuries until he fell right in front of the church. Soon, the village head came with all the residents and they killed Vlad brutally. They did this because Vlad had done the same thing to them. The next day, Vanessa and all the villagers were holding a party for their victory against Vlad. Vanessa told Philip that she had copied Vlad's flash drive, which contained Bitcoin, and intended to use the money to build this village. Philip was very proud to hear this.